How you doing, folks? This week we're going to be doing a proper review out there in the field with the Ghost 4K. Let's get to it. Right folks, we're going to be heading out in a second to test this bad boy, but before we do, a massive thank you to those of you that have jumped on board early doors with the Patreon page. Thank you very much, description down and below, and thank you very much to everyone that's been commenting, liking and subscribing this week. It's done really well, thank you so much for all your support. We launched the new trailer for the DVD. It brought a little tear to my eye, I must admit, probably more than it did when we filmed it. The response that you guys have given that is just overwhelming. Thank you so much, and I cannot wait to see the end result. Huge thank you to Tom over at Geek Media and Adventure Bike TV for doing that. So, let's get to it. Oh, meant to say, if you've not seen the unboxing vid yet that goes through all the specs and stuff, there'll be a link somewhere on here. Have a look at that and then come back to this one. Right, decided I need to get my fat ass out of the office, putting on a fair bit of timber. So we're heading off up into the Kent countryside, and I'm going to do some comparison shots. Going to test out a lot of the features of the Drift Ghost 4K. I brought with me the Ghost S just so we can compare them, and I've also got a GoPro Session 5 set at 4K and the new TomTom Bandit as well. Thank you very much to Ninja Minja for that. I'll put tags to his channel in the description down below. Top lad, thank you very much for the loan of the camera. Whew, I need to do some exercise. Rucksack when you've got a bad shoulder, probably not the best idea. Adapt, overcome. You're never going to believe this. I've only left the bloody Drift 4K at home. Right, I'll go back and get it then. See you in a bit. Do you ever have days like that? It wasn't at home, it had fallen down a little inside pocket of the bag. 3 miles, there and back now. Anyway, let's get going. So what I want to do is get the 4K, Ghost 4K, the Ghost S, the GoPro Session 5 and the TomTom Bandit. All set on 4K apart from the Ghost S, which is 1080, all 30 frames per second, and we're going to do a little time lapse. Let's just see. I'm above a railway line here. We might get a train, we might not. Let's see. Okay, they're all set up. The Bandit is actually 2.7K in 30 frames per second. It only does 15 frames per second in 4K, but 2.7 should be alright. So, we'll just sync them up. Off we go. And this one is the iPhone X 4K 30 frames per second. It's ridiculous. I'm carrying best part of £1,000 worth of action cameras here. It's daft, isn't it? But anyway, just going to take a little venture up into Pilgrim's Way. Google it. So I've just done some photos there with all 4 cameras. But I've got to say, touch wood, the Drift 4K is behaving itself today. I think maybe we're getting on now. I'm starting to like it. But there's a few more hours of use yet, and I've got to check the footage. So, what do the pictures look like? Tell me what you think. Ooh, where does that go? Adventure. Spoke too soon. I just stopped to get a little bit of footage of that Nomi thing, and I noticed that on the back of the display of the Drift 4K, it was showing 4K but 25 frames per second, and I swear I'd set it at 30. So I went back into the settings, and there's no 30 frames per second available at 4K, 4K UHD, or even 2.7. I'm sure yesterday it was available. Check the footage. What we're going to check now is I shake like the proverbial pooing dog. So the 4K comes with image stabilization whilst in video mode. So switch that on. Let's see how we get on. What I'll do is I will have the iPhone, which also has image stabilization, next to this, and let's compare the footage. Right, it's behaving itself. Off we go. That's just a normal walk. Okay, that's the walking test. What's the holding test like? That's where I really shake, you've probably noticed it. How's that? That's a bit unfair actually, because this one, the 4K, is in my dodgy arm. I can't really hold that out. Never mind. Okay. Dare I say it, but you seem to be behaving yourself today. Look at this. And there's even a wee bench. It's got to be done. I'll try and fall in the pond. Well, Brian, I hope you don't mind me having a seat. Oh, it's nice, isn't it? I take you to all the nicest places. So, the remote on the Drift 4K. Well, first off, the size of the thing. It's like a fitness strap. It's nothing like as rugged as it should be, certainly for motorcycle use, and I would have thought for action adventure use. I mean, if you're out skiing and snowboarding and on the motorbike, you're going to be wearing a big jacket, much like this. Now, if we try and look, there is no way that is getting round that jacket. That's the two ends. I mean, that's just ridiculous, Drift. What were you thinking? And it's a tiny little thing. You imagine trying to work this with a gloved hand as well, especially if you're on a bike, a push bike, motorbike, skiing, snowboarding, anything where you're moving quite fast and dynamically. Imagine trying to work this. It's just, why didn't you stick with the old style with a big Velcro strap, the big chunky buttons? That would have made sense. This thing, nah. Second thing is, it's really temperamental, really temperamental. If you pair it with the unit, which in itself isn't 100% successful every time, sometimes you have 2, 3, 4 attempts to do it, but then once it is paired, if you switch back to Wi-Fi to check something on the app, you then have to repair it with the remote. You've just got to go through all that rigmarole again. It's just, why? Why have you done that, Drift? You didn't have to do that with the Ghost S. Why do we have to do it with this? It's a pain in the ass, massively. But anyway, it does work eventually. So push the button. You see that's flashing red, and so is the remote. And we can stop And I think you can also change through the modes. So if I push the stop button, yeah, see the colours are changing? So it's cycling through the different shooting modes, which again the Ghost S did as well, so thankfully you kept that. And watch, if I switch this off, switch it back on, now we should be working. Oh no, yeah, a little hint, there's a little Bluetooth light that comes on eventually once you switch it on, and that is pairing to the remote. When it's flashing, it's still trying to sync with the remote, so you have to wait for that to stop. 34 seconds. That's ridiculous. Just sort that out. Come on, Drift. But when it works, it works. Can't deny that, but the design's rubbish, the strap's rubbish, and you need to sort the software out. And here's another gripe. If you switch the camera on, and then you start, say, filming, just by using the button here, you're not using the remote. So you switch it on, you start recording, you can't then use the remote. It doesn't work. It won't sync to the remote once it's on and it's been filming. You'll have to switch this off, switch it back on again. Time will tell. Now it's looking for the remote. Flash, 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 flash. Some time later. Are you bored yet? No, it's not found the remote. So now I've got to go back in the settings, repair the remote. It's ridiculous, just ridiculous. You know, I wouldn't care what the footage is like, to be perfectly honest, because I'm tempted to throw this away. First world problems. Right, I found out what was going on with the TomTom Bandit. It was in night-lapse mode. My fault. So, in the interests of fairness, I'm going to redo the time-lapse again. So, here's another one. The bloody wall of the Eiger. Right, coming into a dark part now. Lots of trees, overcast, things like that. So I'm going to get the Session 5 out and the Drift 4K, and we'll check them to see what they're like in sort of low light conditions. Hope you appreciate this, people. You are having a laugh. I've got trainers on. The things I do for you. Do you know what? I'm happy to admit defeat on that. I think we've got enough, don't you? I've walked nearly 5 miles today. Happy with that. Right, I think we've got all the shots we need. I'm going to fire back, have a look at the footage. Next shot, let's sum it up. It was all going so well. I was almost starting to like the camera. I just stopped to do another little final shot here, and it was set on the movie mode. I started to record, or think I was recording, and it had a meltdown. I've no idea what it was doing. I had it here. It's on the movie mode. As you can see, that there is movie mode. Popped it down, hit start, and this little light here was just sort of flashing green, red, on, off. I came back to have a look. Now this, when you hit record, that's flashing red. This also goes red, but it wasn't red, it was green, and it was sort of flashing between green, on and off. And where it says 64 there, that's your sort of file number, how many files you got, I think, on your SD card. And that was going up in increments, like it was taking interval shots or something. just another nail in its coffin, I'm afraid. I can never be sure that it's getting the shot that I want. I can never be sure that it's taking film, or it's on picture, or it's on interval, or anything like that. You just can't count on it. And would I pay 300 quid for that? So, what do we think of this? I think it's pretty obvious, really. It's a shame because some of the footage on this is really good. Some of the footage is fantastic. The image stabilization, I've asked around on a couple of other motovloggers and other people that have been using it. You switch it off when it's on 4K if you're going to be moving. Sounds ridiculous, but you switch it off because otherwise it gets that really wobbly effect we've seen in the footage. The colours are really good in this. It picks up colours and deals with low light very well. What it doesn't deal with is just about everything else, unfortunately. The sound's quite picky on this. I had it set at 1, 3, 5, various different levels. 5 is too much, there's a lot of distortion. 3 is about right, to be honest with you. Fitting in the mic and things like that, probably level 3 would be the one that you would go for on this. Would I spend 300 quid of my own money on this? Not a chance at the moment, no way. That said, if they get these issues sorted, get that stupid little remote changed for the big chunky one that it used to have. Get rid of these modules. I mean, are you going to be fiddling about with these modules when you're out in the peeing rain, you've got cold hands? It's just not going to happen, is it? It's a great idea, but in practice, it's just not practical. Why can they not take the housing of this, the Ghost S? I mean, look at the difference. This thing is tiny, absolutely tiny. So why not take the technology that you've got here, whack it in this housing, it'll give you more room for a bigger battery, you've got the LCD display there, you get the better field of view that you have on there. I think this one's 170 versus that at 140. Well, why not keep the same field of view that you had, just increase the resolution to 4K, keep the remote exactly the same. The 3mm mic jack is just there. It's nice and watertight. Even without the fully waterproof seal on it, I can ride it in the pouring rain with this, with a mic attached, and there's no issues whatsoever. The buttons are just much chunkier. The software on this works. This is just a gamble as to whether or not it's going to work or not, and I cannot believe, Drift, that you have released that onto the open market with the issues that it's got. It's going to do you more harm than good, because I've not seen a single good review about this yet, and now I understand why. And it's a great shame, because the 4K is really good footage. The Ghost S is a fantastic camera. Amalgamate those two without these gimmicks that you've gone for, and you will have a fantastic solid camera. Please do that. If you're not, this thing, again, thank you very much, Minion Ninja. Thank you so much, bud, for the lane of this. I've hardly used it, to be honest with you. I did a couple of the static time lapses and things like this, but this is a good, solid little camera. Even the 2.7K footage at 30 frames per second is really good. It dealt with movement very well. It dealt with contrast, low light, everything like that fantastically well. It was pin sharp, the resolution. The buttons are big and chunky. You know, look at, that's the way it sits on its mount there, and the whole camera rotates. See that? So it's so easy to align your shot, much like the Drift with the rotating lens at the front. Really good. I'm very tempted to try and acquire one of these once I'm back riding and give it a good solid test on a trip somewhere. Very impressed, TomTom, with that. And then we come to the GoPro Session 5. Brilliant. It really is a solid little camera. I'm no fan of GoPros. You'll know that if you followed the round the world trip. But these little sessions, brilliant. I really do like these. They're fantastic for B-roll footage. Really small. You can nip them in all over the bike and get great little angles on them. I'm not sure what it would be like to actually vlog with one of these, because the mic adapter and things like that, you're tempting fate, I think, opening up that little trapdoor there to access the micro USB. For B-roll footage, brilliant. Anything with sound, the onboard sound's not bad, but for vlogging, motovlogging, things like that, then I don't think you can use one of these. But the 4K footage is awesome. So, That's me. I hope I've not bored you too much. I hope you've enjoyed it. For those of you who are still here, thank you very much for the continued support. The guys that have come on Patreon, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. That really means the world, that does, that you're willing to contribute every month to the videos. Thank you so much. The rest of you, thank you very much for buying the books, the downloadable ebooks, the stickers. The DVD will be available sort of early to mid-December. So I've seen the rough cut of it, and I'm very proud of what Tom has done there at Geek Media. Fantastic. Anyway, folks, keep living your lives. See you next week.